Hello there, this is Being God's Obedient Servant channel. Today's Bible study will be in Leviticus chapter 25. So there's about 55 verses in this one. So go ahead and jump right on in here. And so it's going to be more of just a straightforward reading. So this, there is some things to learn in this. And but once again, if you're new to this, what I do here is I go through the Bible and explain certain parts of the Bible, especially ones that still pertain today, and parts that don't. So I said, right now we're in the Old Testament, and of course you can see here, from the title and everything, Leviticus chapter 25. So let's go ahead and start. Verse 1. And the Lord spake unto Moses in Mount Sinai, saying, Speak unto the children of Israel, and saying to them, When ye come into the land which I give you, then shall the land keep a Sabbath unto the Lord. Now, quick to understand, especially with things going on today with Israel and countries surrounding them, it says, Speaking to the children of Israel, it says, when ye come into the land which I give you. Now, no one has a right to take the land away from Israel that God gave them. This is how Israel sees it. So there's a lot of land still today that belongs to Israel that other countries have taken away. So just, don't start attacking Israel and saying that they're at fault for this, that, and the other, whenever they're just trying to get back what was theirs originally. Let's continue on. And see, even now, this part doesn't pertain to us today where it says, keep a Sabbath unto the Lord, for the land. So not only does God command that we, honor the Sabbath. But it says in this stuff that pertains to the Israelites specifically, even their land has a Sabbath. So, continue on, verse 3. 6 years thou shalt sow thy field, and 6 years thou shalt prune thy vineyard, and gather in the fruit thereof. But in the 7th year ye shall be a Sabbath of rest unto the land, a Sabbath for the Lord. Thou shalt neither sow thy field nor prune thy vineyard. That which groweth of its own accord of thy harvest thou shalt not reap, neither shall the grapes of thy vine undressed, for it is the year of rest unto the Lamb. So even if you don't plant anything, or whatever, if it just grows naturally or on its own, you still are not to reap. Not to gather of it. So these are very specific, and straightforward rules. So in this year, you're fixing to see. Well, let's continue on here, and you'll see. Verse 6. And the Sabbath of the land shall be meat for you, for thee and for thy servant, and for thy maid, and for thy hired servant, and for thy stranger that sojourneth with thee, and for thy cattle, and for the beast that are in thy land shall all the increase thereof be meat. And thou shalt number 7 Sabbaths of the years unto thee, 7 times 7 years. And the space of the 7 Sabbaths of years shall be unto thee 49 years. So pretty much in the 7th year, they're to primarily eat nothing but meat. And whatever they had saved up for, from the 6 years, they're supposed to save up, things that are going to be dry goods, like, wheat made into flour can be dry goods, especially if kept properly, beans and stuff of that nature. But primarily they can live off meat for that year. let's continue on. Verse 9. Then shalt thou cause the trumpet of the Jubilee to sound on the 10th day of the 7th month in the day of atonement shall ye make the trumpet sound throughout all your land. So now we're speaking of the law of Jubilee. And ye shall hallow the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout all the land unto all the inhabitants thereof. It shall be a jubilee unto you. And ye shall return every man unto his possession, and ye shall return every man unto his family. A jubilee shall that 50th year be unto you. Ye shall not sow, neither reap that which groweth of itself in it, nor gather the grapes in it of thy vine undressed. For it is the Jubilee, it shall be holy unto you. Ye shall eat the increase thereof out of the field. In the year of this Jubilee ye shall return every man unto his possession. And if thou sell aught unto thy neighbor, or buyest aught of thy neighbor's hand, ye shall not oppress one another. According to the number of years after the Jubilee, thou shalt buy of thy neighbor, and according unto the number of years of the fruits he shall sell unto thee. According to the multitude of years thou shalt increase the price thereof, and according to the fewness of years thou shalt diminish the price of it. For according to the number of the years of the fruits doth he sell unto thee. So, here you can clearly see, from the time of Jubilee is going to be 50 years between Jubilees. And unto that, you sell to your neighbor, to one another, and everything else. And you're allowed to increase prices up to a certain point, and then when you get close to the Jubilee, you shall diminish the price thereof. So pretty much the way this kind of says to me here, and the way it sounds is like, each Jubilee, the price can go up between Jubilees, but the price of things should return what they were at each Jubilee. It kind of sounds like a reset of finances. So like right now, what we're going through in America here in 2022, inflation. So inflation happens, people raise prices throughout, the 50 years. But at the end of the 50 year, the Jubilee, the price is reset to whatever it was before. So if it, let's say, a bushel of apples costs $5, and then throughout the 50 years, price goes up to $10 a bushel, and then as it gets closer to Jubilee, the price should go back down and be close to $5 a bushel, and then, restarting that, the next Jubilee, it should start off again at $5 a bushel. That's what it sounds like here. We're talking about your price increase, and then it decreases, according to the number of years between, Jubilee, getting away from the first day of Jubilee to Jubilee again. It should go up, then come back down. And also, like here, you're not to oppress one another or anything. And Jubilee is like a great reset of everything, according to Scripture here. We're going to find out more as we read that, if you purchase someone's land, it goes back to their family at each Jubilee. You're not allowed to keep it. You can buy it and then make money off of it, like farmlands and stuff like that and everything else. Certain things you can buy and keep, like a house inside a city. You can keep that, but like lands or houses outside cities and stuff that don't have walls, you can't. It has to be given back to the families. And of course, we're going to find out more, but the land in Israel is divided up and given to different families, because this is called the 12 tribes of Israel. So all the land's going to be divided up between the 12 tribes. And inside of those tribes, that land has got to be divided up amongst the people inside of that. But of course, it's divided up amongst the men because, now, when we get in there, there's more rules like to say this person only had daughters and stuff. Then, the daughters can inherit, but mostly it's always everything goes to the first son. They inherit and stuff of that nature, from their father. But then if there's other brothers, they partake in the same inheritance as the eldest seems fit. So there's a lot of rules and stuff in there with all that. We haven't got to that yet. But also, this even goes like if you purchase someone to be a servant, because, slavery is okay here. And a lot of people like to say that God's okay with slavery. But God's okay with slavery as a punishment, or, as mostly like you sell yourself because you can't do for yourself. You're poor. That comes up in here as well. So let's continue on here, verse 17. We'll get more into those other parts here in a second. So, ye shall not therefore oppress one another, but thou shalt fear thy God, for I am the Lord your God. Wherefore ye shall do my statutes and keep my judgments and do them, and ye shall dwell in the land in safety. So here's that key point that even in New Testament says that as long as the people of the land follow God and do as commanded, they will live in safety. In America, we live in a lot of safety. A lot of people are even spoiled by it because they've never known oppressive times ever. Our poorest people in America are richer than most of the world today. It's we even have homeless people in America that are obese. They still get more. Most other countries and stuff, if you're homeless, you're also starving. Here, they're not starving. They may be homeless, but most of the time it's by choice. But yeah, anyways, let's continue on here, verse 19. And the land shall yield her fruit, and he shall eat your fill and dwell therein in safety. And if ye shall say, what shall we eat the 7th year? Behold, we shall not sow nor gather in our increase. Then I will command my blessing upon you in the 6th year, and it shall bring forth fruit for 3 years. So I said, like here, God's even going to help them out, like say the 6th year before the 7th year of rest. If they're having it's like, hey, we don't have much this, that, and the other. What are we going to eat for the 7th year? God's going to bless their lands and stuff as long as they are obeying Him and are in His safety. He's going to bless their lands that on their 6th year. It's going to produce so much that they're going to have enough to last for 3 years. Now, I don't know how fruit's going to last for 3 years. Well, I said that it ain't really just fruit from fruit trees like apples and stuff lasting for 3 years and stuff of that nature. But, God says, you know a tree by the fruit it bears. You'll know this by the fruit it bears. He means that on anything. So like the grains and corn, corn can be grinded up and made into, bread and stuff of that nature. So He's going to give them enough to last for 3 years so that they dang sure don't have to worry about what they're going to eat for that 7th year. There's going to be food. So, verse 22. And ye shall sow the 8th year, and eat yet of the old fruit until the 9th year, until her fruits come in. Ye shall eat of the old store. So you eat of everything that you have old first. You just don't throw it away. You don't waste stuff. You still eat of that as you're coming in. Because here's the thing. If you let land rest for a year, come the next year, you got to start everything over. So you're really not going to have a harvest until the year after that, or until the end of that season. So you got to be able to eat all the way up to then. So you technically got over a year and a half that you have to have stuff stored up that lasts a whole year and a half. And that's, God can make it happen. But for a lot of us, we don't have the lands or the means for that, even today. but that's why we have grocery stores and all this other stuff that we normally go into. And a lot of people, they buy canned goods and stuff, and they can get enough. You know, if you have a house big enough or storage big enough to do that, but it's very hard to do in today's time because just of how much space it would take up to actually have enough food to last for a year and a half. Anyways, let's continue on here. We still got quite a bit to read. The land shall not be sold forever, for the land is mine, for ye are strangers and sojourners with me. So here's that key part. It is God's land. It's His. That's how the Israelites see it today, even. It's like, so the Israelites are strangers and sojourners with God in His land. That is His land He gives. See, the land cannot be sold or owned by anyone else, for it is His. So there's a very key point to remember that, especially with what's going on today. Let's continue on here, verse 24. And in all the land of your possession ye shall grant a redemption for the land. If thy brother be waxen poor, and hath sold away some of his possession, and if any of his kin come to redeem it, then shall he redeem that which his brother sold. So just because somebody sells you something, if it's like, the family can come and redeem it, and you have to sell it back to them. You can't keep it. Says, no, I'm keeping it. I want it. It's you're not allowed to, because it belongs to that family, that bloodline. So continue on. And if the man have none to redeem it, and himself be able to redeem it, then let him count the years of the sale thereof, and restore the overplus unto the man to whom he sold it, that he may return unto his possession. But if he be not able to restore it to him, then that which is sold shall remain in the hand of him that hath bought it until the year of Jubilee. And in the Jubilee it shall go out, and he shall return unto his possession. So there's that part talking about, the land, like even if you buy it from someone else, come to the year of Jubilee, it goes back to the family. So pretty sure a lot of people didn't buy stuff in year 49. They'd only get to use it for a very short time. Let's continue on here. Verse 29. And if a man sell a dwelling house in a walled city, then he may redeem it within a whole year after it is sold. Within a full year may he redeem it. So he can redeem it then, but then it's up to the, it has to be redeemed then within a year. If it says, hey, I want it back. Here's the money that, that you gave me for it or whatever. And he can redeem it. But, after the year, well, let's continue on. Verse 30. And if it be not redeemed within the space of a full year, then the house that is in the walled city shall be established forever to him that bought it throughout his generations. It shall not go out in the Jubilee. So that's the part I was talking about, how, some things return, some things don't. And whoever bought it, it stays in his generations. That means his descendants get it until they do with it whatever they want to. So, anyways, verse 31. But the house of the villages which have no wall round about them shall be counted as the fields of the country. They may be redeemed, and they shall go out in the Jubilee. Notwithstanding, the cities of the Levites and the houses of the cities of their possessions may the Levites redeem at any time. And if a man purchase of the Levites, then the house that was sold and the city of the possession shall go out in the year of Jubilee, for the houses of the cities of the Levites are their possession among the children of Israel. So here you can see his specialty was done for the Levites versus the others. So part of the 12 said the 12 tribes. You got 12 tribes, of Israel, which are the 12 sons of Israel. That's what makes up the tribes. Anyways, continue on, verse 34. But the field of the suburbs of their cities may not be sold, for it is their perpetual possession. And if thy brother be waxen poor and fallen in decay with thee, then thou shalt relieve him. Yea, though he be a stranger or a sojourner, that he may live with thee. Take thou no usury of him or increase, but fear thy God, that thy brother may live with thee. Thou shalt not give him thy money upon usury, nor lend him thy victuals for increase. Now, what that means, like if you have a brethren, somebody in your family, bloodline, stuff like that, that's waxing poor, falling into hard times, this, that, and the other, you're to help them and not make any money off you. It's like, say, hey, I'm going to help you. Here's this, here's that, here I'm going to feed you and stuff like that. But the usury part is where you're going to add like an interest rate to this, where you're going to, you know, you're to help one another. This is a commandment from God. It's also a commandment from Jesus today. We are to help one another. We are not to support wickedness, but we are still to help one another. So you got to learn that in there. It's like, you can't support people that's doing wicked stuff. You don't help them with that. But especially like some brethren, like, you see a lot of failure like this in the churches today, where somebody comes in and they are truly a Christian or whatever, and they're asking the church for help, and that church doesn't help them. They go to many churches and no church will help them. They're literally denying their brother and sister in Christ help. It's actually a sin to do that, because this is like, you help them. You give them a hand up, not really just handouts, but a hand up, So, I got to keep on reading here. Let's continue on here. Verse 38. I am the Lord your God, which brought you forth out of the land of Egypt, to give you the land of Canaan, and to be your God. And if thy brother that dwelleth by thee be waxen poor and be sold unto thee, thou shalt not compel him to serve as a bondservant. So this is where it's like, if if he's poor and sold himself to you, which can be done, as I said, like, if you want to become a self-slave, or it was punishment, this is the self-slave part. Just because one of your brethren sells themselves to you, he's not to serve you as a bond servant. You're supposed to treat him better than that, even though you purchased him for a short time. In the time of Jubilee, he is set free. But, brethren only. So, anyways, continue on, verse 40. But as an hired servant and as a sojourner, he shall be with thee and shall serve thee unto the year of Jubilee. And then shall he depart from thee, both he and his children with him, and shall return unto his own family, and unto the possession of his fathers shall he return. Now you're going to see a lot about this. Says, with he can leave with his children. Of course, if his wife's there, she goes with him as well. But see, God says the children belongs to the man, not the woman. They belong to the man, and the man is responsible for teaching them, providing for them, taking care of them, and all this other stuff, which is a lot of stuff failing today. But, hopefully people start reading the Bible and start returning back to it, because we got a lot of people nowadays, they're so lost and don't even know it. So, let's continue on. Verse 42. For they are my servants, which I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. They shall not be sold as bondmen. He's talking about Israelites. Now, we as Christians, we fall into this category only as a grafted branch into the Israelites. That's how we are recognized through Jesus. Since Jesus is an Israelite, we are grafted in through him. That's how Christianity works. So we kind of fall into some of these categories here as of this, but we are not Israelites ourselves, and nor do we live in the land of Israel. So, like I said, this majority, all this stuff right here most of it pertains to the Israelites only, except the parts when you're supposed to help one another and everything else, especially brothers and sisters in Christ, stuff like that. That still pertains today. But verse 43. Thou shalt not rule over him with rigor, but shalt fear thy God. So, instead, like, even if you have somebody that that's currently your slave at these times, you can't treat them bad. It's against the rules, because because them themselves were also slaves in Egypt. So it's like, you want God to treat you good, you treat people around you good, even people underneath you. This is a rule from God. New Testament, Old Testament, doesn't matter. Let's continue on here. Both thy bondmen and thy bondmaids which thou shalt have shall be of the heathen that are round about you. Of them shall ye buy bondmen and bondmaids. So I said, like right now, this is the difference, because now in New Testament, anybody can be saved. It's not just Israelites only. But here it's like Israelites only or get the special treatment. Everybody outside of Israelites are heathens. So those same type of rules and stuff doesn't apply to them. If they convert to be, Jewish in these times, take on being in Israel, become circumcised and stuff, and get mixed in, then they can actually, qualify, but they have to convert. So, continue on, verse 45. Moreover, of the children of the strangers that do sojourn among you, of them shall ye buy, and of their families that are with you, which they begat in your land, and they shall be your possession. And ye shall take them as an inheritance for your children after you, to inherit them for a possession. They shall be your bondmen forever. But over your brethren, the children of Israel, ye shall not rule one over another with rigor. And if a sojourner or stranger wax rich by thee, and thy brother that dwelleth by him wax poor, and sell himself unto the stranger or sojourner by thee, or to the stock of the stranger's family, after that he is sold, he may be redeemed again. One of his brethren may redeem him. Either his uncle or his uncle's son may redeem him, or any that is nigh of kin unto him of his family may redeem him, or if he be able, he may redeem himself. And he shall reckon with him that bought him from the year that he was sold to him unto the year of Jubilee. And the price of his sale shall be according unto the number of years, according to the time of an hired servant shall it be with him. If there be yet many years behind, according unto them he shall give again the price of his redemption out of the money that he was bought for. And if there remain but few years unto the year of Jubilee, then he shall count with him, and according unto his years shall he give him again the price of his redemption. And as a yearly hired servant shall he be with him, and the other shall not rule with rigor over him in thy sight. And if he be not redeemed in these years, then he shall go out in the year of Jubilee, both he and his children with him. For unto me the children of Israel are servants. They are my servants, whom I brought forth out of the land of Egypt. I am the Lord your God. Now, this is the end of this chapter here. And this part right here still pertains to us today in a sense, where it says, for unto me the children of Israel are servants. We are servants of God as well today as Christians, but also we serve Christ. He bought us with sacrificing himself on the cross. So, as God, whom he brought forth out of the land of Egypt from slavery, bondage, we were bound to sin, bondage to sin, and Christ gave all ability to come to God now through him. So we're now, if you agree to be a servant of Christ, a Christian, to be Christ-like, we serve Christ. Christ serves God, so we also serve God. This is how the rules are. It says, life isn't free, period. But, as later on you see, God says that his burden is light. We do belong to him in Christ, and we are to do as commanded, but they don't command a lot. It's not with rigor. So anyways, I got to end this here before the 30-minute mark. We got through it all. Yay. And, but yeah, as I said, any part of the Bible, there's something to learn. We just got to know where to look and what to look for. But yeah, so I hope you enjoyed this reading and this study. So once again, until next time, prayers. You know the prayers for the world, everybody, your family, each other, yourselves. So until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.